Hey guys, it's Adu. I'm back again with another video. This is gonna be a fun video as usual, but just take a look. The sun is not as bright today as it was a couple of days ago, as it was really previously throughout the week. But we still got light, we still got natural light coming through, we still got the Lord blessing us on this Sunday, so we're good. Let's head into the video now because this is a bit weird. I'm dragging it, but this video is going to be on best movies slash TV shows couples that I've recently come across through watching certain movies that have stuck out to me really over the years. You know, you guys might disagree with the couples that I got on the list. If you do, fairs, just comment down below the couples that you would put on the list like this. I also want to note that this list is based on couples with the friends to lovers trope. It's kind of like a movie slash book collab, if you get what I mean. Now let's head straight into it. So we're starting off with JJ and Kiara from Outer Banks. I actually haven't finished Outer Banks. But obviously I started the show about maybe 2 years ago, you know, when it was kind of newish, yeah. So I started it then, and I personally didn't care for these two people. I didn't care for Kiara, I didn't care for JJ. I didn't really care for the couples of the show. But if I was forced to give my favorite couple out of the show, I would have actually said Sarah Cameron and John B. I would have said that they were the cutest. I don't know, like they were unexpected to me, I guess. The cuteness, their relationship was unexpected. But now that I've reached, I believe it's season 4, the season that kind of pissed a lot of people off. As the seasons progressed, I genuinely lost like an interest, like a care for John B and Sarah. So I guess JJ and Key, they've kind of taken their place in a way. I still couldn't care less about JJ and Key, but that's, to be honest, that's really why they're lowest on this list. They would have been just alright as friends, really, but then I understand they would have been cute as a romance couple. So I'm not gonna hate, I'm not gonna talk like like I didn't put them on this list for a reason. They were cute, but they were just, that's pretty much it. They were just cute to me, I'm sorry. I think the reason why I just don't really think they're that deep together is JJ is so nonchalant. Like, he doesn't, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but I have a thing against nonchalant men, you know, especially when the woman is crazy about the guy, you know, but then the man is just there, like, the man is just there chilling, you know, and that's pretty much it. JJ is just chilling. JJ is just nonchalant. He ain't really into her like that. He ain't really into Key like that. Key is all about JJ. JJ is all about JJ. That's what it seems like. That's why they're low on the list. But if they just let JJ be, if they just let him kind of come out of this slump that he's in, this bad, reckless behavior, if he really just developed, if his character really evolved, him and Key probably would have had like even a better relationship than Sarah and John B, I feel like, because the way John B and Sarah just deflated, like, they really just deflated. Like, John B just, he lost his like energy, like he lost it, and at this point they need to wrap the show up. But yeah, okay, now I might piss a few people off with this couple that I'm gonna share with you guys. That is next. I don't know what it is about me. I make lists, and then as I speak it out, as I make the video, I start processing, I start thinking, did I make the right decision in ordering this list, ranking this list? I don't know, like it's weird. It's like I have late reactions to things, you know. I'm gonna have to come out with it. Monica and Quincy from Love and Basketball, I put them on this list because I know they're toxic. Everyone feels that way about this couple, about this movie, that it shouldn't be called Love and Basketball, that it should be called, I don't know, but the love shouldn't be there. That's the point. I get it, I think it's valid, but the premise of the story, okay? The premise of the story was just perfect to me. I'm sorry. You have a woman, you have a man. Obviously, they started off as childhood friends. She moved into the neighborhood and they kicked off pretty rocky, like, you know, you guys, if you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But the fact that this couple, both of them, the man and both Quincy and Monica, they play basketball, I think that just sold me. I think as I watched the movie, as I delved deep into the movie and I saw the commitment that they both had to the sport, and you can say that low-key, that in fact not low-key, that high-key was the glue really to bringing them together. Like, basketball is such an intense sport, okay? And in that intensity, you see the love, really. You see the growth, you see the potential, you see the love between them, that they share such a passion for the sport, for this intense sport. And so you can see how it easily like transferred to the love they both shared for each other. And obviously with that being said, like I said, basketball is an intense sport. There are going to be highs and there are going to be lows, okay? So you can say the same for Quincy and Monica's relationship. I don't care. Toxic, but people do tend to have a toxic relationship with certain sports, particularly basketball. Like, you know, when you play the game, you come out, there are times when you come out with like ACL tears, you come out with like injuries, you know. You can say the same for like other intense, you know, sports, right? But when there are moments where the highs, where they achieve so many milestones, they achieve so much, you know, as a team, as a player of the sport, they achieve so much, the rings and everything. You could literally apply the love that one would have with basketball to the love that one could share with a lover, okay? I guess that explains why their relationship was kind of rocky. I might just be romanticizing this movie, but I thought it was cute. I don't care. I loved this couple, Monica and Quincy. The next movie / TV show couple on this list with the trope best friends to lovers or friends to lovers is Rosie and Alex from Love, Rosie, the movie. Guys, I'm telling you now, this movie, I watched it as a kid with my sisters. To me, it honestly feels like that staple movie, that staple romance movie that, you know, you tend to go back to with friends, with family, those that you shared this experience of watching it with, really. So that is what Love, Rosie is to me. You know, I just thought it was so authentic. I just loved the acting, and I can't lie, this is when I fell in love with Lily Collins. Like, I just loved her in this movie. I just loved it. Like, it was so cutesy, you know. And her and Alex's relationship, like like even just like remembering really like certain scenes, certain moments, because like it's like a coming of age, and like I've already mentioned my love for coming of age. I love coming of age movies, honestly. I love it. And you know, I love it. It's like, it even is a cherry on top when it is a part of a romance, a love story. So that's what this is, if any of you guys are interested, if any of you guys haven't watched it. But Alex and Rosie, they were like the quintessential boy girl friend, you know what I mean? Like that's what their relationship was, really. You know, there were obviously moments as they grew older into their teenhood that they you know, started feeling a little bit something more than like platonic feelings for each other. They started, you know, exploring. You know, I think they even once, you know, had that moment where they shared a kiss or something, but you know, they brushed it because for a very long time they've just been friends. You know how the story goes. You know how it goes, right? My problem with movies like this is like, you clearly like each other, so just get it over with and just end the movie. Like, the movie doesn't need to be so long. But with this movie, I feel like they did it well. I feel like they explained that well, because there were times where they, you know, when they took the initiative to just say, come out with their feelings, but then there'll be time, and in those times there's like, one of them has their guard up, one of them is off doing something. I think Alex, he was busy at one point, he couldn't really reciprocate the time, the energy, you know, what Rosie was feeling at a certain point. I haven't watched this movie in a while, so I might be confusing you guys, but there was a scene where they literally were adults. They were like in college, I think, in university, and they literally were moving like boyfriend and girlfriend. Like, they literally would just, you know, yeah. But then I think one of them had their guard up, and that is normal, that is natural. At times you're not always going to be in the same page with someone, even someone that you are best friends with, you know, someone that you're very close with. You're not always going to be on the same page with that person, so there's going to be like bumps, there's going to be like issues, there's just that miscommunication really, and so that created like a gap between them. And like I said, they were both doing their own separate things, so one of them was in London while the other was out of the country doing something, but they stayed in contact. Rosie eventually had a kid with a different bum. She had a kid with a useless man, you know. That in itself was crazy, you know. You could say Love Rosie had his own toxic things going on, toxicity really, but at the end of it, you knew that they were supposed to be with each other, and they knew it too, so it ended, you know. I don't know, I love that scene, and one of my favorite scenes, honestly, from that movie one of my favorite scenes from that movie is with, this is definitely one of them. Yeah, Lily Allen singing that song. Fuck you very, very much. Sorry, but yeah, I can't sing. But yeah, that is definitely one of my favorite scenes. This movie has to be like one of the best romance movies ever. If any of you guys have not watched Love Rosie, I honestly recommend it. It will be a good watch. Yeah. Next on this list, the final movie / TV couple with the friends to lovers trope is Pam and Jim from The Office. I honestly love this. I love the show. I love this couple. Okay, I honestly, if it wasn't for this guy, I don't think I would be watching this show. I'm sorry, I don't think I would watch this show, right? But obviously, Pam and Jim, their story alone, there are times where like Michael would like piss me off at times. Like, I'll just be tired of the guy. And like Pam and Jim, the scenes with Pam and Jim, it was almost like a relief. But then at the same time, that was also stress in itself, because like the tension between the two. Obviously, Jim liked Pam while she was in fact engaged to a bum. Yeah, he was a bum. Yeah, if you know, you know. So Jim, you know, he had to stay back. He couldn't pursue Pam, you know, because she was engaged. She was in her own little sham relationship. Like, you clearly like Jim. What is stopping you from dumping this bum? Yeah, when Jim is right there. No, Jim, he's not even just right there. Jim is all up in your business. Jim is all up in your space. What's stopping her? Because nothing would stop me. That's for a fact. Nothing would stop me. Nothing. Okay? Oh, gosh, he was so sickening, this guy. But yeah, Pam, you know, she had her own things. I could honestly relate with her because she was very insecure. I guess she found value in her relationship. She found value in the little attention, the little love that I couldn't even call that love, but like I said, the little attention, the little value that, I don't even know his name, so we're gonna have to call him Bum. This guy really had for her, you know. This guy really showed her, you know. He didn't she was settling, basically. She was settling because she was very insecure. She had low self-esteem, you know. It was so low to the point that even Jim couldn't persuade her to get rid of him, get rid of this loser, you know. Obviously, in the times where they would share little conversation together, where they would just be kicking it up, you know, giggling and stuff, you know, making jokes, teasing Michael, teasing Dwight, you know, just like, you know, they had to find some ways to communicate, you know. And that communication was always platonic. It was always like buddy, you know, it was like a buddy kind of relationship. They treaded lightly because any turn that they could take, it could take them into dangerous territories, you know. Jim was crazy about her, and Pam, she was crazy about Jim. So I'm not sure if I've mentioned, I'm not sure if you guys know this about me, but one of my favorite tropes in romance books, is workplace romance. And not only were Jim and Pam friends to lovers, not only did they have that friend to lovers trope, they also had the workplace romance, you know. Side note, I'll lightly use the friends to lovers trope to describe Pam and Jim, you know, because honestly, you couldn't say that they were friends. Could you say that a guy that you talk to, that you kicking up with, that you giggle with, that, you know, you share jokes, that you share little banter with, you know, that you even flirt a bit with, you know, but you go back to your man, your real man, right? Could you say that you and that guy are friends? No. He's her side, that's her. They're not friends. I feel like they're not friends. I don't know. Would you consider Pam and Jim friends before they obviously got together, you know, romantically? I honestly would say that she was cheating. Because they were flirting, guys. Pam and Jim were flirting. Obviously, there was a point at which Jim, he crossed the boundary, and he, you know, they shared a kiss, basically. But generally, they... Go away, bitch. Sorry, we just got like a stray trying to come into this room. But yeah. Like, these bees must think I'm honey. I don't blame them. I don't blame them, but there's no honey for you here. Anyway. What was I saying? Guys, I could go on and on about Jim and Pam because they were so cute. They were so cute. Like, and one thing I noticed, yeah, about them was that, and some people might disagree with me about this, but I was telling my sister that most of the time in these movies, in these shows, and even in these books, when there is like a friend, when they're like friends, when people start off as friends, but they really want to be more to each other than friends, so you kind of sense something building. You know, they're just things building up to the big climax where they eventually reveal to each other what they want, and that is more than a platonic bond. That is more than a platonic relationship that they want. They want to be, yeah, you get it, right? And so in those moments, in that event, there is like, you find more enjoyment in watching that than say when they eventually get together. When they eventually get together, you see the hand holding, you see the freeness, the freedom to just kiss, hug, do all that couples do, and it gets a bit tiring. It gets a bit like, yeah, we get it, next. Yeah, we get it, you guys are together. Like, are you gonna break up? Like, people find joy in like the joy in the obstacles, really, if you see what I mean. People find joy, and I'm one of those people. I find it more entertaining when there are problems, you know, problems such as, you know, one like problems in like related to Pam and Jim. Pam was initially engaged to another man, so she couldn't cross that boundary with Jim. There was like a level of holding back on both ends, you know, because of her engagement to another man. That is a problem. And because of that holding back, because of that, like, you know, push and pull between them, there's just joy in that. And then, you know, compared to when they finally get together, my sister, she said that there were times where she just felt she was bored watching them together. Personally, for me, I thought they were cute. I thought they were still cute. Obviously, the level of like cuteness changed, you know, because there was none of that. You get what I'm saying? There was none of that tension. There was none of that sexual tension that they couldn't just like get rid of by just, you know, coming out with it. No, you know. But I still feel like there was that level of cuteness. I loved watching them interact in the office. I just loved it. I loved when they got married, and they were playing that track. They were playing CB's Forever, one of my favorite songs. Yeah, like, and even when Jim found out that Pam was married, like, I thought they were so cute together. I thought they were cute. Yeah. Anyway, guys, that wraps up this list. So therefore, that wraps up this video. Okay, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to check out my other videos. I got a lot of things. I got a lot of videos up. I got a lot of things happening around here. Okay, so if you didn't know, now you know. Peace.